All right. So welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, oops, I hear some echo. Don't know where the echo is coming from. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cheryl Sanchez. I'm the founder of the Networks organization and the author of The Journey of Success, Even When Success is Just Getting Out of Bed. The Networks is a network of leaders, forward thinkers, and like-minded individuals who have joined together to realize success. If you're interested in learning more about me, our members, or the networks, you can visit our website at thenetworks.org or find us on social media. Tonight is part one of our summer series called None of This Was on My Vision Board, So Now What? Shifting and Adapting to 2020. We created this series because many of us started out this year at vision board parties or goal setting events. And when things started to go haywire, we thought none of this was on my vision board. And after a while, we started to think, so now what do we do? We figured many others were thinking the same thing and decided to come together to create this series. In these challenging and difficult times, we need to take time for wellness and self-care, to acknowledge what has been happening around us and whatever feelings we may have about it, to check in on our goals for this year and reassess or revise them if needed, and learn how to adapt and move forward positively on our journey of success. I think we all realize that one of the first most important steps was to acknowledge that stuff is crazy. I think we can acknowledge that 2020 is crazy. And you don't need to dwell on it, but you shouldn't be in a bubble either. You have to acknowledge that things are happening around us, and you have to acknowledge your feelings about it. For example, if I think about what's going on with COVID, I know one of the things that I feel is afraid. I'm also sad and angry and a whole bunch of other things. I don't need to dwell on it or become paralyzed with fear, but I do need to acknowledge what my mind and body are thinking and feeling. If it is afraid that you feel, it's okay to acknowledge that. If we bottle up our feelings and never deal with them, they can eventually negatively affect our health and well-being. Sometimes we need some help slowing down or calming the madness in order to be able to acknowledge and accept our feelings. We also sometimes need a reminder to take care of ourselves. In tonight's session, we will start with self-care and wellness topics that help us slow down and reflect. Our speakers tonight are Lourdes Melendez-Gamez and Priscilla Keresey. Lourdes is an entrepreneur extraordinaire and the owner of Confetti Party Place in the Bronx. When her event space temporarily closed due to the pandemic, Lourdes creatively came up with multiple other ideas to keep the event business going. She was featured on News 12 The Bronx for her character drive-bys. One of her passions is art, and she has hosted many events and coordinated many in-home activities related to art. So what are the benefits of art as therapy? How can art help us cope, adapt, and adjust? It's up to you to show us, Lourdes.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you. That was a beautiful intro, Cheryl. Oh my gosh, it sounds so awesome and important. Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for being here. Oh, there she starts. She was quiet all this time. I knew this was going to happen. So let me begin by, yes, so at Confetti, we do a lot of paint parties. And I had a wonderful series last year called Mindfulness Fridays. And what I tried to do was bring in this concept of art therapy to our paint and sip sessions. And it was just basically creating a topic, having a topic, and then painting around that. And topics ranged from fear, love, death, topics that really, get to us emotionally. And what we wanted to do was use that moment and paint on canvas. And so that was one of the things that when COVID struck, and I created paint kits to send out to families, to children, I realized that there was a lot of depression and anxiety taking place because of this. I mean, I don't even suffer from depression, and yet in March, I felt the beginnings of something. Something was off. I wasn't happy anymore. I wasn't motivated. I just wanted to sit down and watch TV, watch the news. I never watched the news, but because of COVID, I was constantly watching the news. And so thank God I just snapped out of it and I said, no, I've got to start creating things because I know I'm not the only one that's feeling like this. And I remembered those Mindful Fridays and I thought, I'm going to use this and I'm going to bring happiness to all of our Bronx residents. And so I quickly, ordered all of the supplies and put it out there that I was creating these paint kits and I wanted people to tell me what they wanted to paint. And then based on what they wanted to paint, I would sketch it. Now the children ones were very easy because children, they like cartoons. So I was sketching Batman and Poppy and Bugs Bunny, all these favorite cartoons. But the adult ones were a little bit more difficult. And not difficult, but they were a little just more challenging because people wanted to escape. So we would sketch a beautiful beach scenery, or we would sketch a Buddha, something that would give people peace and calm. And so I looked to art therapy for that, to use art as therapy to get through these times. And for centuries, art has been used as a tool for self-expression, for communication. And I figured this is a great opportunity to do this. And so what I wanted to do was, I wanted to give you guys a taste of what an art therapy session would look like, because I want us to tap into those feelings that we have. And so everyone should have, hopefully, pen and paper or pencil and paper. And we're going to start off by closing our eyes. So everyone just close our eyes. We don't need the pen and paper just yet. So you're going to close your eyes. And I want you to think of a person or a situation where you felt either angry, frustrated, just something really that made you upset. Think about anything. It could be COVID related. It could be, your ex-boyfriend who's an idiot. It could be anything, a family quarrel, but something that it was a situation that it really affected you emotionally. I want you to think about why it happened. Why did that situation take place? I want you to see how you feel about it. Take notice of that, how you're feeling about this. Does the thought of this anger you now again? There's some things that, hurt us so deeply that just a 5-second thought about it, we're already fuming. Now you're in that situation. Think about what you would want to tell the person that hurt you. What would you want to tell them? How would you want them to feel? I want you to think about your visual, what you're looking at in your mind. Are you looking at colors? Are you looking at shapes that are making you feel angry? And now I want you to open your eyes and take those thoughts and place them on paper. So you're going to think about that anger that you had and place it on paper. You can write words. Just see it on paper and have it there in front of you. And the thought behind this is you want to take that feeling. You want to take that feeling and you want to completely set yourself free from it. So you put it on paper, then you rip it up and you throw it away. And so now that's no longer here where we feel it. We feel everything in our chest, in our gut, any fear, any hurt, anger. We always internalize that. So using art therapy, You take all those colors, and this would be even more expressive, and I'm sure even more helpful when using colored pencils or crayons or markers, or in my case, in our studio, when we use it with paint. You know, you take that and you release it, and you're free from it. I'll just give you a minute with this. Then we're gonna do another little exercise. All right. Now we're gonna move on to a better exercise, a more fun exercise. Now I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about what makes your heart happy. What brings you joy? Think about your heart and filling it up with different types of things that just make you happy, whether it's something that you eat, something that you sing, maybe a dance that you like to do, maybe it's a person, maybe it's the feeling of being in love, something that makes your heart happy, things that make your heart happy. What words would you use to describe how happy you feel, filling up your heart with all of that happiness? What images would you put inside that heart? How often do these things make your heart happy? Is this something that you can actually attain, that you can actually go out and do for yourself? Is this something that you can create artistically? Maybe it's just talking to another person. Now, after you've thought about it, I want you to open up your eyes, draw a big heart, and any image, any word that popped in, put it inside that heart. And the idea behind this is whenever you feel down, whenever you're depressed, if you're feeling anxiety, you can go back to this heart and think about your happy thoughts. Think about happy people. Think about things that just make you feel good, that make you feel happy. There's another good one, which we're not going to get to now because I like to end on a high note. But another one has to do with anxiety. And anxiety is more of a feeling. It's not really something tangible. It's not something that you can see. It's more like what you can feel. But what if anxiety were a monster? What if you could give it a face? What if you could create a look for anxiety? What would it look like? What would it look like to you? That's something you might want to do on your own. That's your little homework. Because many who maybe have never suffered with anxiety, throughout all of this isolation, it actually, I found it creeping up with many friends. I have so many friends that have taken all these different relaxers and just wine, and who knows how they calm themselves throughout these times. But anxiety may have not been an issue before, and it has been now. And now that we're opening up again, now we've got a different type of fear. Now we've got the fear of, okay, opening up, but are we safe? So it's just like, it's not like, oh, we're open and we're ready to go. No, now we have a different type of issue to deal with. But it's okay, because we can use tools like art and something as simple as sitting there and doodling. Get yourself from Amazon or Michael's, get coloring pencils, get paint. I still have paint kits if you'd like. But get yourself something, or as simple as what we did right now with pen and paper. And when you doodle, that was something that we used to do when we were little. While the teacher was talking, I'm sure everyone at one point took their pencil or pen and they started doodling and creating cute little images on your notebook. Go back to that again. Use art to help you with that, because it relaxes your mind. You get into a zen where you're just so relaxed and so at ease. And it's just a good feeling. It really is. So I want to thank you for allowing me to do the fun exercises with you. Thank you for being my guinea pigs.
Thanks so much, Lourdes. Yay. I love that exercise of being able to just write something down and just throw it out. Love it. You're on mute again. I just unmuted you. You're still on mute.
There we go. I just wanted to add that it's just a great way to let go and release something. It really is. It really helps. Some people even take a lighter, light it up, and throw it in the toilet or something like that.
No,
but
I
if
think
you
it's
wanna,
great.
you don't want to play with fire, just rip it up and throw it in the garbage.
Thank you so much, Lourdes. That was awesome. Our next speaker is Priscilla Keresey. Priscilla is a medium and a practical psychic. She is recognized throughout the country as one of the most accurate, compassionate, and sought-after evidential mediums connecting the physical and spiritual worlds for individuals and demonstrations. She offers frank, usable, and actionable insight from the sixth sense and the afterlife on topics of real interest to you. She's certified by the National Guild of Hypnotists as an advanced clinical hypnotist, and she's an ordained minister of peace. Priscilla helped me personally through a very difficult time and guided me towards completing my book. Today, Priscilla will be speaking about self-hypnosis. Priscilla?
Thanks, Cheryl. Hey, everybody. I know some of you guys here, and some of you I don't know, so I'm happy to meet you. You can find my hypnosis website is viahypnosis.com, and my reading website is apracticalpsychic.com. But tonight I'm going to talk about hypnosis and really kind of talk a lot about how to do it yourself, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and you don't need a hypnotist. Because the same exact thing happens in a hypnotist's office that you can do on your own. I mean, some people like to go the first session for that to get the experience, but you don't need to. So this is what hypnosis is all about. But first, before I, whether you put your video back on or raise your hand, has anybody had hypnosis before? Okay, couple of people. Okay, all right. So, and Shelley, okay, good. So, when I first was hypnotized many years ago, I went to quit smoking, and I had a man bring me into his home, and in this little den that was really cozy and dim, and he's had this soft voice, and I was like, no fucking way am I going to close my eyes and relax around this guy, because I didn't know, he didn't tell me anything about what I was going to experience. All I wanted to do was quit smoking, and there was this, new agey music in the background, and I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know really what hypnosis was. I'd only heard that people have had success with that before. So of course I went right back out to my car, lit up, and smoked for the next 4 months. And then I went to a hypnotist who happened to be a woman, but she also, the more important part, I think, because I don't think if you have a good rapport, it matters much whether it's your comfort level, which gender you choose if you're going to a hypnotist. But she gave me a very solid explanation about what my role was in the hypnosis process and what hypnosis really was going to do for me. So whether you're afraid I'm going to cluck like a chicken or give away my ATM PIN number or, take my clothes off when I don't want to, do something I regret, having an explanation for it is really allows you to relax enough to either go to a hypnotist or do it yourself. So I just want to give a real brief overview about what hypnosis is. And if you don't remember what it is, if you go to my site, viahypnosis.com, there's a video there that I made just of me sitting in this exact same spot telling you what I'm about to tell you now. So hypnosis involves two parts of the mind, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I know you've heard these terms before. And we're using in hypnosis, using both parts of the mind. So the conscious mind is, we think of it like the shell or the outer part or the upper part. You know, we always have to find some relation between the conscious and the subconscious mind. But if you think about it like the shell or the outer part of your mind, this is the part that does only four things. It rationalizes. So your mind has to come up with reasons for why things happen. We have to make sense of things in the world. If we are unable to do that, it can lead to real anxiety and depression. And, you know, institutions are filled with people who do things and they don't know why. So having the ability to rationalize, make sense of things, is a fundamental and important part of the conscious thinking mind. The other part of this mind, the second part is, and this is not in any order, is our ability to analyze and solve problems. Whether that is, how do I get onto this Zoom call, to how do I, you know, fix the problems in my marriage. You know, the conscious mind gathers in evidence, gathers data. We use deductive reasoning. We use logic to arrive at a solution. We also do things subconsciously, but in the way that I'm talking about it now, I'm talking about like the analysis and resolution finding that we think about. The conscious mind is the seat of our willpower. Because willpower is something we have to think about. We have to think about not eating another brownie or not having another drink or making ourselves go to the gym before work. So willpower is literally bringing the power of our will to do something or not to do something. And if you've ever tried to diet or quit smoking or change a habit, you know that willpower really isn't the answer, because it's more of a sprint than a marathon with willpower. It's good for an acute situation, something we need to do really quickly. But as far as changing a habit, willpower doesn't really work. The last thing that our thinking conscious minds do, well, it's the seat of our, what we call the working memory. It's not really memory. It's more of how we order things that we need to do in the immediate future. So our working memory allows me to finish my sentence and have it make sense, because I'm able to retain in my memory what I started talking about so I can finish. So this is a very shallow pan. 7 to 9 bits of information we can hold in the working memory. After that, we have to move it to short-term memory or long-term memory, or make a list. If I go into the market and I have more than 7 to 9 items, and I don't have a list, I'm going to come out with half the items I wanted and another 10 things that I never thought I was, you know, get to the car and go, I forgot the 5 things I went to go in there and get. So the working memory is pretty shallow. So the conscious mind only does these 4 things and can only do one thing at a time. So if I am running up and down the aisles looking for, you know, biscuits and cat food and, you know, beer, and somebody calls me and needs to know how to get directions for somewhere, I'm like, I got to call you back, because we can't solve 2 problems at the same time. I can't use my willpower or my working memory or my analytical skills and do something else at the same time. So we think of our conscious minds as the powerful part of our mind because we reason and we think, and they're the most tangible results there, but it's really quite limited in the things that we can do. So that's important to remember when it comes to hypnosis. We can only do one thing at a time. We can only focus on one thing at a time with our thinking minds. The conscious mind's job as a whole is to keep that shell intact and not to let anything unfamiliar get into the subconscious mind. The reason being, the subconscious mind does not vet information as it comes in. There is no analysis. There is no rationalization. There is no weighing the benefits or the pros or cons. So the conscious mind's job is automatically to reject unfamiliar information. We can see this in extreme ways. If you're a political person one way or another, I happen to be a very left-leaning liberal myself. And so nobody can tell me anything about the current administration that I would be able to really take in. You know, it's just, that's, in extreme forms, that's cognitive dissonance. You can be shown evidence of something, but if you just can't believe it, it doesn't match your belief system, it's not coming in. And that doesn't make us stupid or gullible. It's just, that's the way the mind works. And it happens in extremes. And that can be around anything money, how we feel about it, what we believe about ourselves. Am I stupid? Am I ugly or fat? Am I unworthy of happiness or marriage? You know, all of these sorts of things. So the conscious mind's job is to reject what we don't already believe. Now that's kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if I believe or I think that I'll always be single and that's going to be a dreadful life sentence, I'm going to continue to create that experience for myself, because the conscious mind always gathers evidence to support what we believe. So if I think that I'm always going to be single, I'm going to attract those friends and eavesdrop on those conversations, find things around me that support that. You know, it's like Facebook's algorithm, but in like the universe. You know, I happen to think about or touch on something about a silver piece of jewelry, and suddenly my news feed is filled with that, right? So the universe gives, it's not like it gives it back to us, because all of those things are out there and they're all neutral. But if we are predisposed to think one way, we're going to get more of that. We're going to see more of that evidence. That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is everything else besides those four things. It's our dreams, our memories, our feelings, our hopes, our intuition, our sixth sense, our habits. Every other soft thing that doesn't fit into the rational model is in the subconscious mind, which is why it can be difficult to distinguish a psychic impression. Am I having a psychic impression? From our wishful thinking, or an idea that we have for ourselves with hope that things are going to work out, or, is my boyfriend cheating on me? I really hope he isn't, so I'm not going to see that evidence there. So there's a lot of power in the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind doesn't want anything getting in there that isn't already in there. That's why the conscious mind will gather evidence to support our beliefs that are already in the subconscious mind and reject what doesn't, jive with that. So if we want to get information into the subconscious mind, which is where the meaty stuff of our existence is, we have to find a way to get past this shell of the conscious mind. And we can't just think about it. We can't just use our willpower to say, I'm going to be a different person, because the willpower is in the conscious mind, and the conscious mind by its very nature isn't going to let anything unfamiliar into the subconscious mind, which is really the engine of our being. Now, the subconscious mind is where your body learns how to be, how to respond, how to metabolize, how to heal. Obviously we come into the world with natural abilities, sleep when we're tired, eliminate when we have to go, and eat when we're hungry, stop when we're full. Though I don't know anybody anymore who eats only when they're hungry and always stops when they're full. But believe it, that's programmed into us. And the only reason we don't do it anymore is because we've changed it. Right? So if I have to pee right now, I'm not going to just get up and walk away or go in my seat. I'm going to, we teach ourselves, we give our bodies a signal, just hold it, and we'll get to that later. If I'm tired right now, I'm not just going to kind of lay my head down and fall asleep. I'm going to complete the task that I'm doing. So it's very, very easy to override our body's natural tendencies. That doesn't mean they're stuck in whatever mode they're in now. We can use hypnosis and the power of both levels of our mind to create a change. So if we want to get into that subconscious mind and create change there, which is the fastest and most efficient way to create a change, that's what hypnosis is. There's 4 ways to do that. Up until the age of 10, we're all over that, sorry. But anything gets in. Anything. We don't have enough world experience to disagree. So if an authority figure tells me, look, you're a lousy kid, you'll never amount to anything, I grow up with low self-esteem. If I am told, men always make more money than women, I'm going to have that in my psyche, and I'm not going to go for that promotion, or I'm going to settle for less. I'm not going to think that way. That's just going to be the model that I live. If men always get drunk and beat their wives, I'm going to choose a partner like that because that was my model. That's information that was given to me. Not always, but that's predominantly how this works, what we learned before the age of 10. After that age, around that age, soft number, of course, after that age, and all throughout the rest of our lives, anytime an authority figure who we trust and love gives us information, we tend to believe it. And that's normal. We can't, we can't know everything about everything. So if my mother says to me, you know, menopause was dreadful, I'm going to go, yeah, I'm going to expect that because I love my mother and I trust her, and I'm probably going to have a similar experience. If somebody says, you know, every man in our family has heart problems by the age of 40, you know, we can practically create that in ourselves because the body's got nothing else giving it suggestions after a certain point, except the thinking mind and the subconscious mind. So whoever we rely on as an authority figure is the same as a truth that we accept all throughout all of our lives. The third way we get information into the subconscious mind for the purpose of programming or reprogramming something we don't like is by repetition. Anything that we do over and over and over again, whether we're conscious of it or we're doing it on purpose, is going to get in there. That's why television commercials, radio commercials are repeated over and over and over again. They repeat them for about 3 weeks. For some reason, it takes about 3 weeks of focused repetition. And suddenly that critical, it's called the critical factor between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, that bars unfamiliar information from coming in. It just sort of wears down after 3 weeks of the same message. It says, oh, all right, come in, then you must be important. Come in and lodge in here and be a seed planted in my subconscious mind. So that's why we can all sing jingles from way back when we were little kids. You know, not that we loved Jif peanut butter or, you know, whatever. I don't even want to date myself, but you know, some of these things from, oh, they're in there because we didn't go looking for them. We just heard them over and over again. So repetition, whether you're conscious of it or not, and this is really key when it comes to self-hypnosis, is going to have an impact on your body and your life. So one thing I want you guys to tell yourselves now, promise yourselves now, and this will be part of the self-hypnosis instruction too, when I give you that in a little bit. If you ever hear yourself ever saying anything negative about your life, your bank account, your body, your health, your love life, immediately say to yourself, oh, that's how I used to be now, and replace it with something positive, because we get what we repeat to ourselves, whether we are joking or whether we mean it, whether we're repeating what we don't want and not what we do want. So the language and the repetition is really important. The fourth way to get information into the subconscious mind is by hypnosis. And this is, I'm telling you all this because this is how and why hypnosis works. When a person agrees to be hypnotized or to use hypnosis themselves, what we're agreeing to do is what they call in the movies suspending our disbelief. I'm going to pretend for a moment, I'm going to say yes to these ideas. I know they're not true. I know they're probably fake, but I'm going to allow myself to believe it for now. And the reason that works is we cannot say yes with our thinking minds and say no at the same time. So I can't say, yes, I'm going to take the next 10 minutes to pretend something, to make believe something into existence, and at the same time say to myself, yeah, but it's not going to work. We can go back and forth between the yes and the no, but we can't say both at the same time. So every act of hypnosis is self-hypnosis, because we must choose to hear. We can be hypnotized against our knowledge, like with the commercials and that sort of thing, but we can't be hypnotized against our will. So nobody can make you believe a certain thing or make you change in a way that you might not want to. So when you're doing self-hypnosis, there's a couple of key things to remember. One, you have every single thing that you need already to do it. Nothing else is required. You don't need music. You don't need some guru to open your third eye. You don't need an education. You only need to make the decision that now you're going to use the most powerful tool in the entire universe, which is your mind, to create a change. And the only thing you have control over, which is your own mind. So you're using your own tools to affect change in your own mind. Nobody can do that anymore. They could do that when you were 10. If there was still an authority figure for you now, they might be able to come in and say those things to you. So be also cautious and open to that beloved parent or religious leader, or, you know, whoever you might be listening to on the news. My mother, God bless her, said to me, you know, well, it was on the news, it must be true. And I was like, oh, for heaven's sakes, you know, because that's how people in her generation, Walter Cronkite didn't come on the news as far as we know and lie to people, or news wasn't wasn't an infotainment, you know, it was, you expected to get factual, neutral data, and because that's what was delivered, so you could believe in it. So it's important to know when you're doing self-hypnosis that you already have everything you need. It's important to know that you have to repeat this. It's not, this is where so many people feel like affirmations don't work, or, you know, a visualization doesn't work. I love the name of Cheryl's program here. This wasn't on my vision board. You know, persistence for at least 3 weeks is critical, because most of us anyway are spending the other 23 hours a day going, oh God, I'm so fat. This pizza's going right to my hips. I need a cigarette. You know, I can't wait to have a drink, whatever it might be, whether it's something as esoteric or deeply rooted as our self-esteem to a habit that we're trying to quit. So you must repeat, and you must be aware that this is within your power to do. The only other things that are required here, because it's not rocket science, is to keep your suggestions to yourself in the present tense. There is no time in the subconscious mind, which is why we can smell something from Jean Naté. Remember that, ladies? You know, that, oh, I'm dating myself again, but wow, I'm like back in my older sister's dressing table. Or, you know, anytime I smell gasoline around the water in the summer, I'm back where I grew up water skiing, you know. So there's no time in the subconscious mind. And that's why if you say, well, I'm going to start thinking about this tomorrow, I'm going to quit smoking on Friday, I'm going to start my diet on Monday. It's never tomorrow, Friday, or Monday in the subconscious mind. It's only right now, which is why your suggestions to yourself must be, I am now only eating when I'm hungry and always stopping when I'm full. I am now preferring to breathe fresh, clean air. The other thing about your suggestions is they must be positive. Remember, the subconscious mind doesn't determine if what you're repeating is what you don't want anymore to have happen. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be a smoker. I don't want to be stuck in a dead-end job. I don't want to be broke. Between I feel I want, not even I want to, I feel fit, I'm close to my goal weight every day, I love taking fresh, clean air, I am dressing for the job I want. So suggestions must be in the present and positive. If your suggestion includes the word don't or not, then you're setting yourself back. So when I'm doing self-hypnosis, and I do some form of it every single day, and hypnosis saved my life many, many years ago. I was bulimic, and I couldn't seem to stop. And this was after I quit smoking, quit smoking with hypnosis, but it never occurred to me that I could use it for deeper things too. And I went for hypnosis, and I quit smoking first, and then I went and I was able to overcome bulimia quite easily. And I never stopped using it since then. I became a hypnotist because I couldn't believe that people didn't teach this in school to kids. Why don't we know how to set our, and some kids do. Tiger Woods, I mean, he's got some problems, believe me, but with his, well, whatever. But, he stood and he practiced his swing in front of a mirror. This is a famous story about him, this golfer, and he would look at himself and say, I'm a champion. Many people who have done extraordinary things have seen no other option except the outcome that they want. And I've been doing that since I became a hypnotist, and I have paid off my mortgage, and I work as a psychic, and I work 4 hours a day, and my lifestyle is great, and I'm healthy and in good shape. And, things go the way that I expect them to go. And if they ever don't, all I have to do is think about, how have I been talking to myself lately? How have I been even joking? Like, am I jumping on the bandwagon with my friends who are complaining about their spouses? And is that why I'm fighting with my guy all the time now? Is that why I'm so irritated with him? Because we're, getting together and griping about stuff. So other people's suggestions, other people's attitudes can also impact us because we can kind of join in with them. Naturally we want to be, social, and we want to be part of whatever pack we're in. So we can do that without even thinking. So there's a page on my website, viahypnosis.com. There's a link for self-hypnosis. It has all of this stuff listed on that page. So you can print it out. You can do anything that you like with it. But what I'd like you to do now, if you wouldn't mind, anybody who wants to participate just for a moment in how easy it is to focus and concentrate and hypnotize yourself, I want you to join me. I'm doing this because there is nothing woo-woo or magical about this. It is not a trance. We rarely use that word anymore because it seems like surrendering control. And self-hypnosis is really grabbing control of the most powerful force in your universe, and that's your mind. So if you'd like to, all I'm going to do is bring you into hypnosis. I'm going to show you that you're hypnotized, and then I'm going to bring you out of it. So just close your eyes for a moment. I'd like everybody who wants to participate simply to close their eyes. You don't have to relax. You don't have to meditate. I don't want you to do any of that stuff. Close your eyes. Tell yourself, I'm going to do self-hypnosis right now. Studies have shown that when we tell ourselves we're going to do something, both our conscious mind and our subconscious minds are suddenly on board. We're of one mind. That's what that means, of one mind about something. And I want you to imagine now, if you would, with your eyes closed, that you can pretend or imagine that your eyelids are so heavy or they're so relaxed that even if you tried to open them, they'd stay closed. Like a little kid might pretend, oh my gosh, I can't open my eyes. I want you to pretend or make believe that your eyelids are so relaxed that even if you tried with all of your might, as long as you were pretending, that they would stay closed. So when you know you have the ability to pretend it's impossible to open your eyes, I want you to go ahead and try. Show yourself that you have the ability to make believe it's impossible to open your eyes. You might find your eyebrows lifting up. I can see some of you guys doing that. Your eyes stay closed. Try really, really, really hard, always knowing at the same time that my eyelids are impossible to open. Good. Okay, good. Now just relax and open your eyes for real. Good. So that was kind of weird, right? Couldn't open your eyes, right? You know why? Because you were in hypnosis. You were using your conscious mind to accept an idea, silly as it was. You gave it 100% of your attention. And because you said yes to it, not everybody's on video, so somebody might have thought, oh, I don't know if I'm going to buy into this or not. I'm going to keep one eye open and watch everybody else. That's okay. That just means you haven't bought into it yet, right? So that's why, you know, when the stage hypnotists bring people up, they'll bring like 30 people up and they'll begin to send them back. They're watching for the people who are willing to use their minds in that way. So if you did open your eyes, or you open one eye, I just want to check what everybody else is doing, it doesn't mean you can't be hypnotized. It simply means you might want to do this in a time when, or test yourself a little bit more, or do it in a time when you don't feel like to observe what people are doing around you, or you don't feel the need to wonder, oh, is anybody looking at me? What happened in that moment was you said yes to that idea. And because you said yes, you couldn't also say no at the same time. And so what happened is that doorway, that gateway, that critical factor in the shell of your conscious mind opened, and the content of the idea came right into your subconscious mind, and like that, your body had to obey. You said to yourself with focus and concentration and belief, even for a moment, I can't open my eyes. And so it was. Now imagine if you do that regularly and you close your eyes and you say, I'm doing self-hypnosis now. And you say to yourself, okay, it's so easy for me to fall asleep at night. When I fall asleep at night, I sleep. If I have to get up the minute I get back into bed, in 3 to 5 minutes, I'm right back asleep again. And I wake up in the morning and I feel great. And if you give that same level of attention, nobody here was in a trance. All we did was shift our state of reception of an idea. So it's an altered state of consciousness without being a trance. So it's going from the thinking to the imagination. So whatever we make believe, if we make believe often enough, we will create a belief out of it. And the beliefs are what is in the subconscious mind. And when they're in there, then your conscious mind begins to gather evidence to support that belief, which is, I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep in an airport if I have to. I can sleep, people are over, I can sleep anywhere, and that becomes true. If you say, I'm always healthy, even if things are going around, I just am always healthy. I wouldn't walk into a, viral environment with that until you've got that down squarely, and unless you believe it. But that's how easy it is and how quickly it is. It doesn't take a deep, spinning little stopwatch or anything, or the spinning discs. It's all a matter of choosing. I'm going to stop thinking about this. I'm going to start imagining this with an open mind and with a yes attitude. So when I do self-hypnosis, I tend to do it before I get out of bed in the morning. I've tried doing it as I'm falling asleep at night, and I tend to fall asleep with, and which is okay, but you can't really fall asleep with your intentions and expect that they'll get the same traction, because it involves using the thinking mind to kind of move those ideas into the non-thinking mind, the subconscious mind, the feeling mind. So if you're the kind of person who tends to fall asleep, if you're doing something laying down, remember, this is not meditation. This is actively using your mind. First, I'm going to do self-hypnosis now. I always like to close my eyes and do the eye test, and I can do it like that. I can't open my eyes. I try, my eyebrows go up, they stay closed, and already I'm in a state of mind that says, now I'm listening with my subconscious mind. And because I tend to be pretty visual, if there's something I want to change, I sort of run a movie as though I'm the star. Here I am stepping on the scale, and wow, look at that. And staying with that, or hearing, if you're very auditory, you might want to hear your sweetheart or your friends going, wow, you look great. If you're kinesthetic, you might want to feel yourself putting on your jeans and holding the thing. Wow, look at that. So use your senses and all you have to do is stay with it long enough until you feel it. And by that, I mean, you feel like you want to smile, like, look at that number on the scale, or look at how good I look in these jeans are baggy, or whatever. So you get to feel it, because when you're involving the emotion, you're having an emotional feeling about this, you're in the subconscious mind. You can be certain of it, because our emotions are in the subconscious mind. And then you stay with it as long as you feel like. Sometimes for me, that's if I'm waking up in the morning and I'm thinking about my day ahead, and I know I'm making great connections with my clients. The spirit people are coming through. Everybody is happy, and I'm, again, in the present tense, in the positive. I get out of bed with a real joy, with really like, this day is going to be great. And I don't think about it anymore. Sometimes I'll tune in before a client if I think I have a difficult one, or I'm feeling off for whatever reason, my boyfriend yelled at me, whatever, I might do a moment more of like self-hypnosis for a few minutes and just get back into the feeling again of how I want to feel right now. And then, sometimes it's a lovely, blissful 5 minutes. Other times it's 30 seconds and I'm like, I got too much to do. I throw off the covers and I go. So repetition is more important. Repetition of half-assed, I don't even know if I'm doing it right, self-hypnosis is better every day than saving it all up for the bath on Saturday with the incense and the new age music. It isn't the quality of the trance, it's the quantity of the repetition. And obviously it's going to be a lie at the beginning, right? If you want to change something, you're changing it because you're not doing it yet. I only eat when I'm hungry. I always stop when I'm full. I've got this gauge in my stomach that's like the gas gauge. Once it's at full, I can't put anything else in there. There's the picture, there's the feeling. If my emotions come up, if some light on the dashboard comes up, and I'm not going to go in and add more gas in the tank. That's not the problem. I'll go look at what that, paint any picture you like, hear any sounds you like, feel any feelings you like, even flash back to a time in your past when you did look fabulous or feel fabulous, and imagine that feeling as it is right now. Your suggestions are positive, they're present tense, repeat them a couple of times to yourself, and then just be done. You don't have to open any gates, you don't have to close any circles, you just move your mind over to one aspect of yourself, and then when you're done, say, good, I just finished my self-hypnosis today. Because when we bracket an experience, I'm going to do this, I'm doing this, I just did that, it carries a lot more weight in the mind. So that's my self-hypnosis spiel. Does anybody have any questions for me? I don't want to go on too long because I could talk about this forever. I think it's the greatest thing that ever happened. Does anybody have any questions for me? If you do, like, unmute yourself or not. Well, you can find, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Maria. Just unmute yourself. There you go.
I'm going to go into your website because this is really interesting. You've kind of fascinated me with this. I'm the type of person that, yeah, I believe in all that positive stuff. I do the affirmations. It's and the repetition is key. You're absolutely right. Getting that routine, it does help a lot. And it is easier. I've been on this weight, losing weight because I was during this pandemic. I gained so much weight and I was super depressed. And I said, no, this is not going to do this. This is not me. And I've lost weight because I've gotten in that routine, repeat, and doing, my question is, of course, I'm in Albany, New York. Where are you? Are you in New York City?
I'm about 2 hours south of Albany.
Oh, okay. So you're 2 hours. So you're in New York City, more or less?
I'm a little north of New York City. I'm in the county above New York City. So yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in Albany. So, but do you do this through the phone and Zoom or, video chat?
It can be done remotely if it's a person like yourself who has some familiarity with the state of mind. If somebody has never encountered hypnosis or the power of positive thinking, I would want to see them in person. You can also look at, but for someone like yourself, Maria, you could, we could certainly do something like via Zoom or remotely, as long as I could watch you, because I want to make sure also that you're in a hypnotic state, and I may want to be, to guide you in a certain way. And by the way, there are many, many levels of hypnosis. When I'm working with somebody who has long-term self-sabotage kind of problems, we usually meet like 3 times. If a hypnotist can't help you get to the bottom of your stuff in 3 times, it's either not the right hypnotist or it may not be the right tool for you. And it's just a tool. If it doesn't work, it's not because you failed. Just review. Did I keep my suggestions in the present tense? Did I really allow myself to believe they're true? Just like with my eyelids a minute ago, always go back to that. Did I give it that full attention? And if you didn't, then, okay, let me try again. I even have on my phone, I've even used voice record. I have an iPhone and there's a thing called voice record. And I think a lot of phones do, where I'll have an idea about something that I want to say, and then I'll just play it to get myself into that. This is what I'm picturing. This is what I'm working on now. But there are, and Maria, I'll get back to the other thing that I wanted to say to you, but there are, in a second session, we do something called parts therapy. The subconscious mind's primary role is to keep you safe. And it's made up of multiple parts that have been around for ages. And every single part is also, its one task is to keep you safe. That's why people smoke. I mean, it may not make, sorry about that. It may not make, sense that I'm smoking or drinking too much to stay safe. But as far as the subconscious mind is concerned, because it's never really much older than a 10-year-old child, I want to be like my peers. I want to be accepted. So let me smoke. Or dad or mom smoked. And so, the rest of our relationship was horrible. So let me keep doing something that they did, and maybe they'll accept me. So, there's something we do in a second session called parts therapy, where if we are sabotaging ourselves, there's a part of me that really wants to quit smoking and be slender and athletic, but I keep sabotaging myself. It's because one part of your subconscious mind feels it is not safe to let go of that weight or let go of that habit. And that part is simply stronger. So here's another thing I want to show you guys. If you find that you're sabotaging yourself, and you may want to go to a hypnotist for this level of thing, or not, but you can do it on your own. We look at these parts. So let's say I want to lose weight because it's quarantine and I've been eating and drinking too much. I just want to get back to healthier habits. So on the one hand, so I look at my left hand and I say, on the one hand, I want to be healthy again because it's summer and I don't want to have to buy new clothes, and I want to fit into what I had, and I want to feel good. On the other hand, if I lose weight, and then see what comes out of your mouth, whatever naturally is, whatever, it's almost like free association, what comes out next. My sister will be jealous because it's really hard for her and it's really easy for me. My boyfriend he gets insecure when I'm thin and attractive, so he's going to buy me ice cream, and I just can't deal with that. My cousin is dying from cancer, and, thin, being really skinny is you know, reminds people of dreadful things. So see whatever comes out. And you know that this hand, that this reason why it doesn't feel safe for me to lose weight is a very well-intentioned part of your mind. So here I want to lose weight, and here's a part of me that says, I don't want to lose weight. If I lose weight, more will be expected of me. If I lose weight, I'll have to then get in shape. If I lose weight, I won't have the excuse of my back hurting anymore. So I'll have to do things that I don't want to do. You know, whatever it might be. And it's all good. None of those things are, you know, it'll be too much work and I'm already exhausted. That's a really valid reason not to exercise, right? You know, if you're already running around after the kids, or you're achy already, or you're fighting depression anyway, who wants another weight to have to do? So that's a really valid reason. What I do at this point is I have my reasons for and my reasons to keep me safe for not. And I say to this part of my mind, I actually have this conversation with my hand. I say, all right, if I give you another way to keep me safe, can you guys work together? And then I think of another way to keep, not another way, not another diet, not another excuse, not another reason, but another way to feel safe. And this is where a lot of people who they're told, just switch habits, just stop smoking and start sucking on lollipops. Well, okay, but that doesn't really get to the bottom of the need the subconscious mind has to feel safe. So if I allow you this part that I want to honor and respect, because it's doing its damnedest to keep me safe. If I allow you to keep me safe by, let's say, saving money, or if it has to do with a cousin with cancer, or feeling overworked, or whatever it is, what can I do instead to feel safe? Because it's safer for my wallet if I'm more slim. It's safer for my health. It's safer for my self-esteem. It really is safer for my relationship. I can be more of help to my cousin dying of cancer if I feel good myself. You know, you have a logical conversation, negotiate. And so when this resistant part agrees that it's safer to allow me to lose weight and will keep me safe in XYZ way instead, I imagine these two parts sealing the deal by shaking hands. And it's a silly exercise, but what happens is you've removed a subconscious motivation that you might not even have known that you had. And now these parts are working together. This is what it means, again, to be of one mind, to both be working towards the same goal, to keeping your eyes on the prize. And you might need to do it more than once. You might realize, okay, I can give up drinking. I'll do this, and not I'll do this instead, but I'll feel safe by having one. And then you tell me one is enough by making me feel like I get really sleepy and I want to go to bed. Or you can keep me safe that way. Or you can keep me safe by, after half a glass of wine, the wine now tastes like vinegar, or some other taste you don't like. Okay, good. So you can keep me safe from over drinking, but you can also allow me to have a little bit of social time, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to belabor the point. But it may come back a week later that I also want to keep drinking. If it's still happening, or happening for another reason, I guess I do want to keep drinking because, you know, for whatever next comes out of your mouth. So you may have to go back to the same thing and negotiate with multiple parts of your subconscious mind. But that also is a brilliant thing that can happen with hypnosis. Do I have time, Cheryl, to talk a little bit longer, or am I, okay, I don't want to take up too much time, but.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you have good success with mental illness, like bipolar, or, you know?
I think it helps, but I don't know that it is a cure-all. I know that it helps with anxiety. But I would never, nor am I qualified to recommend that people change their medication or go off their medication. I feel with people who are medicating an illness like a schizophrenia or a bipolar, I give them suggestions that the medicine works really well, so that they can stay on it and not feel, oh, just because I feel good now, I don't have to take it anymore, which I know happens with a lot of people who are bipolar or schizophrenic. They start to feel good, and then they say, well, I don't need this anymore. Or they feel like their life is diminished somehow, flatter because of what they're taking. And so we give suggestions that your enjoyment of life is much improved because you take this. Instead of being flatter, it's more vibrant. So I would say that with mental illness.
Oh, okay.
And if you're not in the area, or you don't know, if hypnosis is for you, the National Guild of Hypnotists, which is a wonderful governing body, it's been around since the 50s. Their website is ngh.net. They have a directory, so you can find somebody in your area. And I want to show you one more thing if I can, and then if you need to jump off, jump off. But there's just so much. There's so much out there. So here's something that I like to teach people to do who have to apply hypnosis, not so much in the long term, but need to do something for a specific kind of event. It can help in the long term, certainly, but if you can't drive over bridges, or you can't speak in public, or whenever you're around an authority figure, you start quaking in your boots, and so you can't ask for a raise or even deal with your mom or dad, for example, this is a great thing to do. Get yourself into that hypnotic state. Say to yourself, I'm going to do hypnosis now, self-hypnosis for a minute or two. Do the little eye test. You can also do things like, I know I'm all over the place, like I do this with kids. Pretend there's super glue over your fingers. Try really hard to pull your hands apart. Because as long as you're pretending, your hands are going to stay together. And I'm watching little kids go, I can't pull them apart, right? Obviously, all you have to do is that. But when you're in that state of mind, you are so receptive to suggestion, and you immediately want to start feeding yourself suggestions. So it can be like, my hand's too heavy to lift it. I can't bend my arm. That was a little Nazi salute, sorry there. But, like I can't bend my arm, or I can't pick my feet, anything you want to do. I like the eye test, it's easy. And then go back to a time in your mind. Remember, there's no time in the subconscious mind where your memories are. Go back to a time when you felt totally fantastic, entirely in control. So if I'm afraid about speaking in public, let's say I have to give a presentation, for a couple of weeks before, because you got to build this up a little bit, a couple of weeks before, start thinking about, when you're thinking about that presentation and you're like, oh, shit. Or you got to have a job interview and you're like, oh, I always choke when I do this, right? That's already a suggestion, because you've been saying to yourself, I choke when I do this. I'm always nervous about this. You've been giving yourself self-suggestion for a long time. It can be reversed. I get into a memory where I felt like successful or appreciated, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you pick a different memory every time you do this. And then I pick a very discreet gesture. I'm right-handed, so I use my left hand. I just touch together the thumb and forefinger of my left hand. This is called and we call it an anchor. It can be a conditioned response. So when I get in the feeling where in my mind I can see, everybody applauding because I just, I don't know, pick something else where I dropped a ski and I slalom water skied, and I did it from shore to shore, didn't even get my hair wet, and I can hear my friends cheering, and I'm feeling wide awake and alive and alert and feeling like I did it. And when I'm feeling that emotion come up in me, I do this, resting in my lap. I'm only holding it up here to show you. And what happens is that emotion and that state of mind becomes associated with this simple gesture. So when you need to then walk up to the podium and give a speech, you just fire off this anchor. It's discreet. Nobody can see it. It can be anything. It can be taking a deep breath, shrugging your shoulders, wiggling your toes, anything that is discreet. I like this because I can be driving. I'm right-handed. I can be writing or shaking someone's hand. And nobody's going to go, why is she doing that? Because I'm not doing this. It's just a nice, gentle relaxation. So I kind of rub it gently together. I'm aware of this gentle pressure and also this extraordinary feeling of accomplishment. And I practice that. And a couple of weeks in, and it's going to be you have what you need to feel like you can stand up for yourself, speak up. If you're going to do more than one, only work on one at a time. So you don't want to quit smoking and lose weight at the same time. Pick one, do that first. Otherwise, you're dividing your attention. It's going to take longer anyway. If you're doing these conditioned responses to speak in front of public and also fall asleep at night, pick two different gestures. Because if this means fire it up for public and you also use it for falling asleep, when you get to the podium, you're going to be really confused. Am I going to relax and people are boring me? Or am I going to lay down in bed and be like, all right, everybody, I just flew in and boy, are my arms tired, you know? So you want to really be mindful of that sort of thing. So I think that's all I've got. I've been talking to you guys for nearly an hour. Does anybody have any questions? And if you do, and I don't get to them, feel free to call me. As you can tell, I can talk about this forever. I can help you figure out your own specific things you might want to say. There's a couple of free things on my website, MP3s you can download and just try out. Yeah, so it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the fastest, most efficient way to change anything or create anything in your life that you want for yourself. All right, Cheryl, can I hand this back to you then?
You can, if nobody else has any more questions.
Great.
All right. Just to let everybody know, I did put the link for Lourdes. Lourdes had to drop off the meeting. She had another Zoom to jump on. So the link for her fundraiser is in the chat. If anybody's interested in checking out the fundraiser or her party space location, information is in there. I also included the link that Priscilla mentioned a few times for the self-hypnosis, that's in there. And I also put the link to thenetworks.org, which is my website for the networks. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This was great. This is just part 1 of the summer series. We're going to be doing several other events throughout the summer, all with the same theme of this was not on my vision board, so now what? So I will send everybody information about the upcoming events and the next topics, and please definitely feel free to reach out to Priscilla or Lourdes, myself, or anybody else on the call for any other information. And if you have any suggestions for future events, please let us know as well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have
Thanks,
a great
Cheryl.
night.
Thanks for organizing this. Nice to see everybody.
Anytime. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.